Look how they taking money at Dunkin Donuts, y'all. Like, come on, man. What is this?
It's crazy.
Straight bulletproof glass through the whole thing, man. I mean, you can't even breathe on these people. Look how sealed this is.
So a couple of weeks ago on this channel, that particular video clip ended up going viral on social media as it showed what actually goes down in a Dunkin Donuts in the city of Chicago, in a particularly bad neighborhood in the city of Chicago, where they end up exchanging money through one of these metal windows to avoid contact between the customer and the employees at this Dunkin Donuts. And of course, the entire location is sealed off from the register to the customer with bulletproof glass. And of course, this individual was rather offended by this. He was put off by the fact that in his neighborhood, unlike other locations across the country, unlike Dunkin Donuts that are likely in your neighborhood if you're out there in the audience, these are the extreme steps that they have to take in order to avoid negative interactions with the community that they purport to serve. Now, of course, this individual is blaming the Dunkin Donuts. He's blaming the corporation. He's blaming the company for this. But the fact of the matter is, the people who are responsible for this are the customers, or the would-be customers. Everybody on the other side of the glass for making it so dangerous to operate a Dunkin Donuts in this particular community that these are the steps that this location has to take in order to interface with these people. Again, you're making it this difficult for a company to serve you coffee and donuts that they have to line their place with bulletproof glass in order to accept money for you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. This particular video, the completely disconnected from reality reaction of people responding to this video, and of course, why I side in this case with Dunkin Donuts. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Thing, man. I mean, you can't even breathe on these people. Look how sealed this is. This is a professional seal. Like, you can't even talk to these people barely.
Appreciate you, man.
So a lot of people who watch this particular video end up beating up on the individual who ended up recording it. And this is because from his language, it appears that he's trying to say that he is the victim. The black community that actually is being served by this Dunkin Donuts is somehow being oppressed by this bulletproof glass. And to a certain extent, I get that that is the angle that he's approaching this with. But the fact is, he is highlighting something that is unusual, that is incredibly weird, and that is, of course, reflective of how different certain neighborhoods are in the United States of America. I'm sure, because there are Dunkin Donuts all across the country, that when you walk into a Dunkin Donuts, this is not your experience. You are able to talk to the individuals that are, again, the ones that are bringing you your food, the clerks at the cash register, and it just does not operate like this. Again, I've been in a million Dunkin Donuts in my life across the country, and guess what? This is not typically how it goes down. Even under the coronavirus, where they had some of the plexiglass in order to guard from coughing or whatever. Remember when we were doing that ridiculous stuff? It was not hermetically sealed in the way that this location is. And the thing is, these kind of setups for stores are very common across the country. There are so many videos that I saw in the city of Houston where you go into the gas station and the entire clerk behind the counter is sealed in bulletproof glass due to the fact that they are expecting so much violent crime at this location, just trying to serve the communities that are surrounding that location. And the thing is, you can expect that because this is a violent area. This is not for no reason. You wouldn't spend all this money on this glass and this system in order to interface with the customer for no reason. So yeah, this is reflective of something, just not what this individual is actually saying, even though, again, I thank him for highlighting this.
Getting up every day and seeing something like this, bro, that do something to your mental up here. It tell you, like, this how you feed animals in a zoo, gang.
So right here, this guy says, man, getting up in the morning and looking at a Dunkin Donuts like this, it does something to your mental mind, if you were to allow him to go on this rant, because they're saying that they don't trust us. They don't trust the community that they're serving. And I just want to point out, Yes, that is 100% true. They do not trust you. They do not trust the community that they're serving. And by the way, the reason for that is they have good reason not to trust you. I just shot prior to this video a story on the city of Baltimore and a 7-Eleven that basically gets flash mob robbed each and every week by the black community that surrounds them. The teenagers that go into the store, commit violence against the employees, take whatever they want and run away. And they have a bunch of different policies in that 7-Eleven that they just don't have in the 7-Elevens that are near me, like trying to limit the store's occupancy to 2 customers at a time. And you might say, man, that does something to your mental mind. That might negatively impact your perception of reality. But the fact is, this is based on the reality, not the perception of criminality in this particular neighborhood. Stores are not going to spend this money to set up their location like this unless they absolutely have to. Again, these places in the hood often look more like banks with the glass protecting them from the customer than actual fast food locations. We talked about how there was footage or photos of a McDonald's in Detroit that had a similar setup, and people were outraged, claiming that this was the consequence of evil white racism.
Homeboy.
When they get bulletproof glass in this McDonald's?
I don't know. Yeah, that's what you heard about this. I know.
You just said it right there, sweetheart.
But again, it's the consequence of black behavior. It's not them being judged on race. It's judgment based on the content of their character.
And seeing something like this, bro, that do something to your mental up here. It tell you, like, this how you feed animals in a zoo, gang. Like, that's pretty much what it's telling your mentality. Like, I did say I don't trust you. You feel what I'm saying? At what point do we be like, we tired of getting treated like animals, tired of getting treated like this? Like, bro, like, you telling me I can't even hand you my money, gang?
So this guy right here, who is very upset about this bulletproof glass, again, not upset enough that he didn't buy whatever he wanted to buy from the Dunkin Donuts in this video, saying at what point do we stand up as a community and say that we're tired of being treated like this? Now, he describes this as being treated like animals. He says that this is a setup that they used to feed animals in the zoo, and he's very upset that you can't even hand somebody your money at this Dunkin Donuts location. But the fact is, when you actually are tired of being treated like this, what you need to do is change your behavior. And I'm not talking about him as an individual. We don't know his story. We don't know his life. We don't know what kind of job he works or anything of the sort. Again, I'm not trying to prejudge him, but we're talking about the community as a whole. When you stop robbing people and you stop having a culture that covers up for those people who commit crimes, when you stop pretending to be the victim of the consequences of your actions and actually accept that those are the consequences of your actions, things will change. Again, other areas, other black areas do not have their Dunkin Donuts set up like this. And the reason for that is because they don't have the same crime problem. Now, we often talk about how Chicago's murders are overrated compared to other worse cities in the country, but they're still extraordinarily high. The per capita and raw number homicides in the city of Chicago are still on average about 6 times higher than the city of New York. And by the way, the city of New York has almost the equivalent number of black people in its population to the population of Chicago as a whole, and yet it's just so much more violent in that city. And that's because you have uninterrupted democratic rule. You elect people like Brandon Johnson who don't want to prosecute anyone for anything. You have district attorneys like the previous one that covered Cook County, Kimberly Fox, that again is running on getting people out of prison, reducing sentences, dropping charges, so the criminal types get unleashed onto the streets time and time again. You also have the Black Lives Matter riots. There are consequences for these behaviors. You can't say it's a summer of love. They're allowed to loot and steal and burn whatever they want, and that's just civil rights protesting without expecting businesses to respond. This is the response. This is the reaction to your behavior. Again, I'm not going to liken these people to animals because that's not appropriate. He ended up doing that in his particular little monologue about how this is similar to a zoo.
Like, this how you feed animals in a zoo, gang.
And honestly, I hate that analogy because it also completely disassociates the people who are committing the crimes, the reason for these precautions, from their own actions. Because the reason why you have security mechanisms in order to prevent zoo employees from getting injured or killed while feeding a tiger or a polar bear is because that is in their nature. That is who they are as a species. That's what they do. And you would be an absolute idiot to not take those precautions. The behavior in the city of Chicago can change. The behavior in these communities that have these precautions could be reversed. The culture that reinforces the criminality and enforces a no snitching code, don't ever report the criminals that are ruining your community, that is all man-made. It is uniquely human. Again, it is something that can be altered by a cultural push and by this guy and other people, instead of shaming the Dunkin Donuts, actually shaming those bad actors in the community that make it so much worse. So yeah, I don't like that analogy because it's not accurate right here. This is not something that is uncontrollable. This is not something that you can't fix. This is not something that you can't adjust. And the proof positive of that is that there are plenty of black neighborhoods that have Dunkin Donuts that are not set up in this way.
Like, bro, like, the people who be owning these don't be from the community. They don't be from the city. They don't. You grow up, imagine you see this every day for your whole life. And then you go to someplace else and you see them handing the money. You gonna think something wrong with you, gang. Like, it's crazy mentality.
So yeah, he goes on this whole stupid ass rant about how Dunkin Donuts, these people aren't from the community, they're not from the neighborhood, they don't know what's going on, and they don't care about the community. And I would just point out that even though Dunkin Donuts is your faceless corporation that people like to attack in all these different various ways, the fact is, the way you become successful in a capitalist system is by serving your customer base. You have to either fulfill a need or a want in order to make a profit. And what's wonderful about our system, what's wonderful about our society, is that we have re-engineered a selfish motivation to benefit yourself in order to make it so the only way to benefit yourself is to actually serve others. It's absolutely wonderful. It's one of the greatest expressions of humanity that we have, and Dunkin Donuts can't actually operate like they would normally in a comfortable environment because the people on the other side of the glass, the community, the innocent Beba angels, want to better themselves without offering anything of value in exchange. They want to stick a gun in the employee's face and rob the joint in order to get their instant gratification. So the people who are violating the rules of society, the people who broke the norms, the people who set it up this way that you have the bulletproof glass and that little metal thing in order to exchange money, those are the people on your side of the glass. Those are the people within your community. Again, I want to make this clear. Just because you live in a neighborhood like this where your Dunkin Donuts has to be set up like that doesn't mean you yourself personally are a criminal. But when you go to a different neighborhood, when you go to a nicer area where there isn't graffiti everywhere, where there isn't trash on the streets, where you don't hear about multiple shootings every single weekend, you should feel like something is wrong with your area. You should feel like something is off in your community, and you should feel like maybe if you want the Dunkin Donuts to look the same as it does in a nicer city or a nicer part of town, then you should start acting like the people who live in that nicer city or live in that nicer part of town. Again, you should think there's something wrong with your community, because there is. It is a deeply sick and corrupt community that caters to the criminals, enables the criminals, and this particular video, even though it is reflective of something important, that's why I'm highlighting it, a trend that should be shown to the people of this nation, his takeaway from this is exactly wrong. He's blaming Dunkin Donuts for the crime within his own community. He's blaming Dunkin Donuts for the mental gymnastics that he has to go through in order to explain this, when it's pretty straightforward and pretty obvious. There is more crime in this area, more violent crime, more gun crime in this area, so Dunkin Donuts has to respond accordingly. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Dunkin Donuts having to have bulletproof glass in order to serve this community. Till next time.